Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and today I am bringing you my first ever Subscribers Battle replay. So this was submitted by James the Great. Thanks very much, buddy. And he is playing as the Eastern Roman Empire, and he is facing the Burgundians. And I believe the player for the Burgundians was Kaiser Sore. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, but yeah, let's look over the army comps, and then we'll get this battle started. So, starting with James the Great's army, he's got 3 units of these Limitane border guards, so that's a spear unit. And he has 6 units of these Funditores, so they're a slinger. And he has 1 unit of Sagittari. And then he has 7 units of these Menolatoi. I'm probably definitely mispronouncing them, but you can see them there. And then he's got, I believe, 8 units of these Protectores Domestici. So they're like a standard sword unit for the Eastern Roman Empire. And then he's got a bunch of these Heteria Guards. So like a heavy axe infantry. And then he's got some Clibinari, I think, is what he's brought for his cav. He has 6 units of them. Or does he have 7? Let me check here. I see 5. Oh, there they are. The 2 are in the center. So he's got 7 units total. And then he's got his general, which is a Palatina Guard. And there is the general right there. Looking very epic and glorious. So the rules were, I believe it was 20,000 in funding. And max 7 cav, including general. So looking at the Burgundian player, he's brought a lot of these elite scattershot slingers. I think he has 7 units of them. And he has a couple units of noble Germanic swordsmen. Then he has 3 units of Germanic pikes, 2 units of Germanic spearmasters. And he's got some noble Germanic horsemen. And on the other flank, he's got some royal lancers. He's brought 4 units of the Burgundian war dogs. And at the very back, he's got a bunch of Burgundian axemen. And here's his general, Royal Burgundian General. And there he is with the axe. So the battle's about 15 minutes long. Right now, what is happening is there's going to be a kind of a skirmish phase. The 2 armies are going to feel each other out, see where their strengths and weaknesses lie. James the Great has pushed forwards his border guards in hopes that the scattershot slingers will waste their ammo on these spear infantry. I'm assuming that they're probably a cheaper spear infantry. But the Burgundian player, he hasn't started firing with his scattershot slingers yet. He's actually moving his noble Germanic swordsmen forwards. I think he has a mind to engage the border guards. But James the Great sees that, and he's going to initiate a retreat. You can see that some of the border guards are taking some shots from the scattershot slingers now. And we do have our first engagement over here. The spears did manage to get caught out by the swords. We got some fire arrows coming in. You can hear the slinger shot coming in as well. Yeah, these spears aren't going to be able to hold against the sword masters. Yeah, looks like they're already breaking. But I think that's okay. I think James the Great was willing to lose these spears if it meant that he could, you know, kind of annoy the enemy a little bit, pull him out of, you know, his comfort zone. A lot of players that I see in Total War, they kind of form up their lines and they refuse to move beyond that. And I think James the Great was kind of forcing his hand in that aspect. But he's got some cav coming out here. I think he wants to be able to catch the scattershot slingers by surprise. So he is going to try to initiate a charge. You can see the slingers, they did 1 shot and then they're pulling back. And some of the war dogs were released to kind of chase back the cav. Which, I don't know, I suppose it's a good idea to, you know, kind of protect your skirmishers, but the problem is I just find war dogs really pretty useless, to be honest. They just don't seem to get much done aside from running down retreating troops. And yes, they're going to engage into the pikes, and they're just going to get slaughtered, unfortunately. So those doggies are dead. And you can see the remainder of the sword masters trying to make some headway here, but James the Great is going to charge in some of his heavy swordsmen. And he's got a nice flanking charge with his cav. That's going to surely rout the last 2 units of Burgundian swordsmen here. Yeah, as you can see, both of them starting to waver. We got some of the enemy Germanic horsemen pushing over, trying to get around the Eastern Roman Empire. So that was kind of the first little skirmish thing. I think it was a harder trade-off for the Burgundians as they lost 3 sword units. I think James the Great only lost 1 spear. I believe that's about it. So looking at what everybody brought to the battle, so James the Great started with 5,840 men, and the enemy count 4,560. So the Burgundians are definitely outmanned in this. You can see all the Eastern Roman Empire forces lining up for battle. Yeah, they do look really nice. We got the skirmishers coming forwards again. And the Burgundians sending more and more cav to that flank over there. I think he's got 4 units total on that side. And then he has 2 units over here as well. Let's take a look at these slingers. See if they're getting fired upon.
Hurry them! Give them no escape!
No, it doesn't look like they're in range yet. Yeah, and I think James the Great realizes that, so he's going to push forwards. Meanwhile, the Burgundians are going to push forwards with their slingers as well. You can see their scattershot slingers. They are quite heavily armored, so I think they are quite a versatile unit to use 1 minute throwing stones and the next in melee. So the only thing is he needs to use his slingers extremely effectively, and so far he's wasted a lot of his ammo on cheap spear units, and I think the trade-off is fair, losing his slingers, because I think these are quite cheap. So but both of the armies, they're not really interested in engaging at this point. The tide of battle could be tipped at any point by the cav. So I think that the first order of business is to get rid of each other's cav. And you can see some of the cav is moving over here. I think he's going to charge out against the slingers here. Let's see if we can get in on this charge.
All available ammunition.
These are melee cavs, so they're not going to have as good of a charge bonus, but against skirmishers, it can be pretty substantial. Yeah, he gets a good charge off, but James the Great is right there to kind of catch him. But looks like he didn't lose too many in that. But a lot of his James the Great slingers are wavering. And you can see he's also doing the same on this side, actually breaking the slingers. And then pulling back. So he is very aware of what's going on in the battle. But nonetheless, it looks like James the Great still has a bit of an advantage. 4,800 men versus just under 4,000. And I've just got it zoomed out because I just don't want to miss anything that's happening on either flank. And then once we actually get into the grind of things, we'll zoom down into the battle. But, oh, actually, we got We got some Cav fighting over here. Fighting the spears. Got a lot of slinger bolts coming in here, and then he's gonna pull out his Cav just as the Eastern Roman Empire Cav gets there. But there is some return fire going on as well. And we've got more Cav just running down the retreating slingers here. But we're gonna have a nice counter charge again.
Our men have regrouped.
Yeah, so a lot of kiting back and forth, kind of trading losses for losses at this point. But the thing that's going to give James the Great the edge in this battle is that he's really only losing really cheap troops. And the Burgundians' Cav is going to, you know, reach its breaking point at some time.
The men are running, cowards!
But yeah, a lot of the skirmish power of the Eastern Roman Empires has all been obliterated at this point. But it looks like these spears are kind of surrounded. They may actually get charged in a second here. Got some Cav kind of sneak in behind. But again, I think this is a cheap spear unit, so the Eastern Roman Empire is more than happy to get rid of it in exchange for some casualties on the Cav. Yeah, here we go. We're gonna have a pretty deadly charge here, I think. Oh yeah, in the back from one unit and also in the other. Ooh, yep. Knocking a lot of them off their feet. That will probably break them.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
But look at this. You can see that I guess the Burgundian player wasn't paying attention because all of his Cav on this flank has been locked into melee. Here comes a nice rear charge. Ooh. Yeah, so unfortunately, there's really no hope for the Burgundian Cav to get out of this engagement without suffering really heavy losses. They're pretty much completely surrounded at this point. Yeah, so taking a look at the battle, yeah, all of the Cav has been broken on this flank, so that is not good for the Eastern Roman Empire. It looks like they're kind of going to lose their Royal Lancers in the center, so really all he's down to is his general, and he's got one Royal Lancer unit on the flank. So James the Great has lost all of his skirmish power, but unfortunately the Burgundians are now not a mobile army. They've pretty much been crippled at this point. And that's going to be very difficult because the Eastern Roman Empire is still a very mobile and versatile army. They have a lot of Cav that can swing across on either flank. How many Cav units does he have here? Let's just take a quick tally. He's got 3 on this side. He's got 1 in the center. And he's got 3 on this side. So he still has all 7 units of his Cav.
This is a shameful display.
So I think at this point the Burgundian player realizes that he needs to engage in melee and try to make some headway against the the Eastern Roman Empire player soon before the Cav is able to get around the flank. But unfortunately at this point I think really it's just too late. We got some pike on pike action coming in, I think. I feel like the Eastern Roman Empire pikes are going to be better than the Germanic pikes, though. Oh, they got some peel they're throwing in there, though.
Easy, easy.
Oh, he's going to actually pull back on this flank just a tad here. We're pretty much down to the last 5 minutes of the battle, but you can see that the Eastern Roman Empire has a lot of infantry that's going to be able to swing around the flank, so that's not really good for the Eastern Roman Empire. They need to kind of turtle up this section, but it's really too late at this point. The War Dogs are not going to hold back. Oh, you can see some axes being thrown there. We got some cav coming in for a charge against these axemen. Yeah, that's going to be a good charge. They really had no shields for bracing, so... But the melee attack is going to be quite high, so they will be able to cut down the cav in prolonged melee here. So that's a really good flank for the Eastern Romans. It looks like they're winning on that side. In the center, yeah, the pikes, they are holding quite well, I think.
The men are broken and running for their lives.
Just a massive line of pikes holding. But on the far flank, you can see that James the Great's kind of doing the same thing. War Dogs are not going to be able to hold for much longer. The cav is just breaking through. Here's another good charge against the axes. Yeah, losing about... Ooh. Oh, look how many that unit lost in that one charge from those Lancers. I'm not sure if that was a fully healthy unit, but yeah, just cut them down. That is crazy. If that was a full unit, they just annihilated 140 men in, what, 20 seconds? And now they're just going to move on to the skirmishers. So looking in the center, the Germanic pikes, they are holding, but I think that the Meneletoi, they're superior. And this flank is just a bloodbath for the Burgundians, unfortunately. The general for the Burgundians is in here, but you can see the axes actually getting some good shots into the rear of the general. And they're going to try and get out of there, but I don't know how successful that's going to be. It is still quite healthy, though, which is good, but unfortunately, yeah, the balance of power way in James the Great's favor. They have over double the men at this point. The flank attacks really, really helped him, because the Germans, their Burgundians, they did hold quite well in the center, but losing his cav there, you got to really, really pay attention in the battle to what's going on at all times. If you send your cav that wide on the flank, you need to be checking them almost every 10 seconds, I would say. And I am by no means an expert on Total War, but I do learn from my mistakes, and I have lost cav that way by putting them out there, then forgetting about them for a while. But yeah, it's pretty much just kind of finishing up here. We've got some brave Germanic pikes and Burgundian axemen fighting back to back here. Let's just zoom in on this action. Oh, that guy grabbed this shield and pulled it down to try to kill him. That's crazy. Ooh. I think that the two-headed axe animations in Attila are the best ones, because they're just so beefy. Oh, but it looks like they broke. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the battle there. Down to the last minute. A lot of them are wavering. Is their general still alive? He's wavering as well. He's going to be killed very, very soon, I believe. So yeah, just a quick recap on the battle. Very, very well fought. The Burgundian player made a couple of mistakes that I would have been more conscious about. You have to be careful not to waste your skirmishers on really, really cheap troops. Yes, it is that manpower that you're chipping away at, but it's just garbage infantry.
Our victory grows
It's the same thing like in Medieval 2 when people would use the strategy of getting a couple peasants and putting them in the front, and then the defender's crossbowman would just be shooting at the peasants. Like, the attacker wants to get rid of them. He has them there for that sole purpose. So try to reserve your ammo for more expensive troops. Like, I would have tried to focus his pikes, just moved forward my forces and then gotten in range of his pikes, because a lot of them don't have very good defense, so you could whittle away them. And the second one was just his cav, losing his cav. If he had his cav, I think that the flanks closing in on him wouldn't have happened. I think James the Great would have had to be more conscious in kind of sending troops forwards. He would have been more worried about rear charges and losing his men. But after crippling the mobility of the Burgundians, it was kind of, fair game at that point. So let's end the replay and take a look at the results here. So you can see there's the 3 spear units, very cheap. He didn't get any kills with them, but I think that's what he planned. His skirmisher is doing quite well, actually, getting about 100 kills, some of them. His cav doing excellent. 2 of them, this one getting 400 kills. That's crazy. And his great axe units, this one getting 500 kills. He was telling me about this one unit. Look how little they lost, but how many they killed. That's crazy. And everyone else did quite well. Looking at the Burgundian player, his scattershot slingers did excellent. Like, look at all the kills that he got, but unfortunately these kills were all on cheaper troops. If these kills were all of the pikes that James the Great had deployed, I think it would have been a different battle altogether. And a couple of his cav units doing well. One of these spear units doing well. War dogs, yeah, don't waste your money on war dogs. Like, they're so useless in my opinion. But, yeah, thanks very much to James Great for sending in this replay. Thanks very much to Kaiser Soze. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. It was a very, very epic battle. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more Total War Attila content. And if you guys want to send me some subscriber replays, I have a couple of, not so much rules about it, but I would like the battles to be close. So don't send me a battle where you've only lost 200 men and you slaughtered 4,000. So make it somewhat close, and no rage quitting as well. I really hate when there's a really good battle and then it ends in a draw because somebody quits. So don't send me those. But yeah, if you guys aren't sure how to send me battle replays, I'm sure I could post like a little tiny video on exactly how to get your replays and to email them to me. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.